We have Feiran on the line as well from Tmall Global. And she is a very good friend of mine. And we met actually in LA. And we also both went to Cosmo Proof, where she has so much personally. She is a geek in terms of skincare ingredient. I saw you sharing about sunscreen ingredient on your social media, which was super fun to see. And other than that, she has tons of experience with Tmall Global, which is the biggest cross-border e-commerce channel in China for international brands to enter the Chinese market. And she's been working there as a head of beauty and personal care for the US team for the past 6 years. Feiran, do you want to say hi?
Good morning, I guess good afternoon and good evening to our audience from all over the world, I think. My name is Feiran Liu. I am the head of beauty and personal care for the Americas region at Tmall Global of Alibaba. I'm actually based in Los Angeles, and I believe Jenny is actually based in San Francisco. As kindly shared, I have been working here for over, I believe, 6 years. For the past 6 years, I have been proudly helping and working closely with many beauty brands from the United States and Canada and North America's region, helping them to find the resources and the partners they need in order to launch in China with us. And it has been quite a blessing, and it has been quite a journey. So I talk to brand partners all the time. I know their concerns. I know what they're about when thinking about, such a market and different market like China. So it's a great honor to be here today and co-host this webinar with Jenny. Like I haven't done a webinar for a while, so I really look forward to today's discussion. And if any of you have questions, feel free to leave them in the chat box or find us after the we're here to help.
Yeah, and like we do a chat like which is for everyone, and you can type in where you are from. I saw the registration, so we got quite a lot of brands in either personal care, skincare, and also a lot of the brands I saw are from there's US brand, Canadian brand, and also a couple Europeans. I think for the time reasons, the Asian participants are not, it's very hard for them to join. But feel free to ask questions in the chat box. And we are going to go ahead and get started. So the webinar flow. So I will start with sharing about the social media observation and the trend part, and then Feiran will share a lot more about the technical details in terms of the ingredients and what are the popular case studies. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to so this is agenda for my part of the share. I will share the overview in terms of the China market, and I will also share like which social channel to focus on and what kind of campaign tactics. And so this will be specific, looking into case studies of what brands are actually doing in the market, like so good study sharing and a couple of trends in terms of what are consumers are thinking or what are some popular trends, micro trends, or overall that shows the dynamic Chinese market on social media. And also adding a bit of observation about how after COVID, things has shifted in terms of the offline for the care industry. So I saw a couple. So we have larger brands registered, and we also have like brands that guess is more interested in market entry. So just to give a sense, this webinar, so this is more for you to get an overall sense of how the market is dynamically, the channel, some of the specific trend in terms of how, as a brand, like, is this good market for you to enter the market? Is it how much budget you should spend? What kind of ROI you are going to get? That's something that is hard to explain that in the webinar because it's getting a lot more customized for the market entry part. And if you are interested, feel free to reach out either to Feiran and to me afterwards to get a kind of a diagnosis about how is it for your particular brand to enter the market. And so I'm Chen, and I'm WalktheChat. We have run for the past 12 years, so that's a while. And we have as a from just being a Shopify WeChat integration SaaS product to a full end-to-end service provider, social media and e-commerce. Before COVID, we even have a Tmall operation team in the team. So that means like helping the brands to operate their stores on Tmall. And after COVID, we paused that team because it's getting too hard to in terms of operation costs. And then today, most of the brands that we work with our partners, which are Tmall partners, helping them operating Tmall, and we help the brand to operate their social media content, such as WeChat, Douyin, and overall have over 200 brands to enter the Chinese market. Most of them are in the premium lifestyle and the fashion. We do with a couple of skincare brands a lot. We work with the Johnson & Johnson team to help to launch their new brand, moisturizing brands in China. We help a couple Australian clean beauty to market via cross-border channels. And we also worked with the US Embassy to support them, the clean beauty, beauty brand trying to find distributors in China. So it's I have a bit of experience, but not that. But what I can share with you is overall, like in terms of what consumers are thinking, what are kind of the operation tactics that's around. That's since last year, we have started to launch a lot more consulting and social listening projects with larger brands such as Louis Vuitton, Armani Beauty, Showmat, Google. So all these luxury or large brands, they are trying to observe the Chinese market to find micro trends and to understand what consumers are thinking, especially to help with their R&D team. So we also with the overview of the market, look at the different social media channels. So for those who are not with the Chinese social media channel, basically everything that all in the Western social media channel, it doesn't exist in China, and we have our own Facebook, Instagram, X, or all those channels. And those channels have been existed for quite a while, but the dynamic is still changing. So for example, Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, and is still growing as the fastest growing short video platform in China. And this is also I would say the social commerce channel, which is a channel where people both consume content, but they also, like I say, shop. They directly making purchase within Douyin. And that is another platform that we're going to focus quite a lot on because it's a platform that's in terms of positioning, it's very good international brand, especially high premium brands with higher cost price, order price versus for Douyin, at least skincare like average is around 100 RMB. So that's like at $20. So therefore, like a lower end, that's like mass market brands. And for Red, this is like where a lot of like premium brands doing marketing, and it's also a channel that's growing the fastest compared to others. And here, this is a graph sharing about as an e-channel how fast is. I'm actually hold on. I want to just share this PowerPoint. This might be more clean. Okay. Okay. And e-commerce and which parent company of Tmall. It's the biggest e-commerce platform, but also like there's other such as JD, they have been growing quite a lot this year by 14%. So that's also a channel to look out for. In terms of the overall sales, so officially none of the platform release this year's Double 11 sales data. So Double 11 is basically the Chinese version of the largest sales holiday in China. And every year, brands used to publish like data of how they've grown over the years. And this year, we don't have a platform-wide gross published. We got from third party saying that there's 14% increase this year. However, this data also includes like 7 more days in sales data. So that's like 24 more percent days counted towards the stats. So our suspicion is that the overall sales has actually dropped this year. It's just like overall officially like it's trying to avoid to announce. And we also note that the days that's counted as Double 11 sales has been increasing year over year. And this is across all the platforms, except for Pinduoduo, which is a Chinese version of Tmall. And this is a platform that they did not participate in the Double 11, so they actually didn't have to like increase it. Overall, it's been a year in terms of sales, and also traffic-wise still increasing. And if we break it down into different categories of how for skincare categories are evolving, and putting that in a graph compared to the social media volume mentioned. And we noticed that from this data to this is half year 2025 compared to last year, most of the categories, they are still increasing. So on the right, this is where like most of the sales is still increasing. However, like for mentioning, all of them are dropping. And except for the like makeup remover, which is doing both strong in sales and social mentioning. The size bubble means like the amount of media value is mentioning about each category. So one of the like my understanding, a lot of the brands, they tend to spend less on decreasing spending on social media because of the market, and that might cause the decreasing in social value, because overall the monthly active user for most of the media channel are still increasing. And if we look specifically into channels such as Red, so Red, I don't know if I mentioned, it's basically the Instagram for China, where people want to Red for product recommendation, and it's a channel that they would look into like a user review influencer, and it's a interest-based, interest-driven, just like Instagram. And Red does have an e-commerce in-app e-commerce, but I think the user behavior is still looking at the review in Red and then exiting it and then go to Tmall or Taobao to make a purchase. That's just the user behavior still. And if we look at in terms of the skincare industry, the amount of engagement has really dropped in 2025. And I took the data of the last 3 months, and especially in the beauty category. I'm not sure why it dropped so much. Like it's but for this industry, it's dropped by 20%. So I think the reason is because like this is if it's promotion content, if brands are less on promotion, and then at the same time part of the budget might goes offline. So that's my personal calculation. I'm not sure if, what's exactly the code of that, but we can drill down into the top skincare brands that's in the market. I'm just moment. Yeah. The brands are still brands. And those are all very familiar names that we know. And some of them are increasing, some of them are decreasing in terms of user engagement. So it's still the channel that's the most important. If like as an international to positioning, it's Red is still like the channel that you want to really, really focus on. So a summary of like the overview of the market is still there's China market, of course, is a massive opportunity market, but it's just getting more competitive and it's more expensive. And for brands, you will need to rely on platform-specific strategies. So depending on your product positioning, depending on your target market, you will need to choose what's the best way to put your, is it Tmall, is it JD, is it Douyin versus Red, are very different, and depending on the user, you need to make those decisions before you have a plan and think about the next year's plan. Next, we're to why we still so much on Little Red Book, which is Red Note. We work with clients, even though is such a big platform for skincare. I talk 3 brands as example and break down their market spending and to look at how they are spending money across different channels. So the first brand is called Kans, and this is in Chinese is Hanshu. This is number 2 largest local skincare brand in the market. Their annual, I believe their annual revenue is 5 billion. So that's kind of the size of this brand. And this is a brand that's famously known for, they rely on Douyin for their success. And like month after month, I think there's a ranked number 1 brands on Douyin. So if we look at on the left, this is engagement amount of this brand, and most of the engagements for this brand is coming from Douyin, 96%. So that's majority of influencing its users. However, if you look at like the amount of influencers that they work with on Red versus on Douyin, Red still has a bigger part of the reason is for Douyin, a lot of the impression is coming from ads, and it's a very heavily ad-driven platform, just like TikTok in the States. And for Red, like they work with a lot of like a influencer, key opinion customers. And we use Party tool to estimate like they're spending 1.2 million RMB in terms of like investment in Red. For a brand big, it's not a huge amount, but it still shows like for, and like the average order value is around 200 RMB. So relatively, it's a mass market skincare brand. And we Lancome is a more premium brand category. The more impression is still coming from Douyin. Red is a bit smaller, but if you look at the amount of influencers that they work on Red versus Douyin, like it's just an influencer. Like Lancome chooses to add from Red, and that's because the positioning of the platform is a lot more premium, and also if you're the spending, they're spending almost 10x more in terms of amount on Red compared to Hanshu's Kans. And then what about the luxury brand? So those are, I'm talking Chanel, YSL, Dior, this type of brands. And those are a lot more focused on Red as well. Because it's luxury brands, they work with so the tier 1 celebrities, and that is where Weibo comes in, and Weibo is just a platform that's growing a lot more important if it's a well-known brand. If you have brand ambassadors who are celebrities, and they would bring quite a lot of on like Weibo. But not if you are like a middle-sized, small-sized brands. It's very, very, very commercial. And platforms are commercial, especially, but Weibo is like one of the more platforms, I feel. So comparing those brands, the conclusion is that on like the brand positioning you are in, if for Douyin, if the order value of your product is under 100 RMB, around 100 RMB, Douyin could be a very good platform for you. And the brand positioning, like if you are lower tier city, is a mass market. And if you are premium brand skincare brand, then remains the platform for influencer partnership and also for early stage consumer trust building. So because this is a platform where user would look for expert review, ingredient education, and brand discovery. So the next is I'm going to share a bit about like how exactly some of the brands are operating on social media. These are some examples to just showcase like the ways that it operates. So one of the trends that I know is for a lot of the local skincare brand, they are a lot more willing to post a negative review as a way to drive traffic. And that's because like if I look at some of the campaigns, so for example, this example, Chinese skincare brand called HBN, and it's one of the brand that's growing quite fast over the and their campaign, like you look at them and you will quickly notice like all the influencers like started with something about the brand, and this is to draw people in. And the negative is usually not something very crucial. It's either, hey, the bottle of the design is not good, but then they will start with that and then getting into how good the brand is and start to, it's obviously a promotional content. It's just shaped in a way that's like trying to look authentic. It's 100% like a paid advertising. So that's something that I notice a lot of the mid-tier brands are doing, which is like create negative, like use negative people in, because negative feedback actually gets higher engagement and a higher impression. But then turn it a positive product recommendation. And another very, very common tactic that we're using are, so this is more affordable brand, and they usually would work with influencers to compare those brands to one of the luxury brand. And by doing that, this will give the consumer kind of perception that a cheaper replacement equivalent of the luxury brand. So example here, like this influencer, she would start the content with 2,500 products from La Mer, then start to introducing another two products, especially the Kanban, which is one of the fastest growing local brands. And the product difference and price difference is like 20x cheaper, and this gives the consumer kind of a perception of his on the same category, and it could be something to replace some more expensive ones. And this is not just used by the local brand, also top tier brands, they also work with this way. So for example, for like a lot of the and I don't know how like I part of a lot of influencers say were just in a lab coat. For example, this one, like she is a pharmacy PhD. So I see a lot of especially for skin, they are usually dressed in a authoritarian figure, either a scientist or a review influencer, and then they would explain why you don't want to buy other products, and then they would recommend some products. So this is a very common tactic brands are using to out and to like just compare to your, so put your product in the position to kind of tell the story. And this just one of the tactics that we notice that's getting almost like the basic of how you promote your skincare product is you are not just telling a brand story, which is like as this fairy tale, this like idealized branding image promoting, but you are actually putting yourself out there and comparing to other brands and actually getting into like why you're better than the other ones. So put that into the perspective of the overall market to do the storytelling. And then I'll share about how the market has changed on the Chinese market. It's been a very interesting shift because for China, we've on the very harsh zero COVID policy, which impacts quite a lot in terms of the, and now it's like it's been a couple years already, and people are adapting, and there are many new trends that's emerging after this like a post era. So one of the trend, of course, like I feel that's the nationalism trend is happening everywhere, not just in China. But, this is like it's in skincare industry. So for the Chinese style in the category of skincare, this year compared to last year, the engagement has increased by more than 100%, and this is relatively to like because Chinese style is related to the national pride, but also it's that's more like related to more. A lot of times, the Chinese style is associated with herbal ingredient, or it's associated with a clean beauty or a traditional ritual, such as related back to Chinese medicine. And a lot of the concept from the ancient Chinese concepts such as sha or acupoints, they are also being used and combined with some of the products. So to be able to eat content. And I think part of the reason is because it's those kind of holistic concept is also addressing the pain point of today's young Chinese Gen Z, or are like they are from either health-wise, it's the unemployment, and then there's so much more emotional stress. So this of minimalism skincare concept is popular, and that's kind of also intertwined together with the Chinese style of skincare routine. And a lot of the local brands, they are riding this trend of they're growing very, very this year. So Cabin is one example we mentioned earlier, but also notice like we both brands been around for example years, and they are switching their packaging, they are increasing their AOV, and then trying to market to a younger and a more mass audience. But at the same time, there are a bunch of Chinese brands that's been getting very popular in the early 2000s. And I do want to point out because that's when Taobao was becoming popular. And those are the exact brand that was era of e-commerce. And they rise a wave together with Taobao, and then later with the Taobao live streaming to become successful. And today they are still growing very fast to adapt to being proud Chinese brand. I put it there so that you would kind of get a sense competitor is not just the international brands that we heard on the top 10 skincare list. It's also the local brands, and they're adapting so fast. They're like being so innovative in working with, and those are the brands actually you want to learn from of how they are working with the consumers and create like innovations. And this is appendix for you to see what are the top 10 local skincare brands in China. By the way, I will share this presentation so you don't have to take notes. So I will share this in an email after webinar. This is another trend that I find that's super interesting. So the trend that's it's related to economic uprising, and it's kind of it didn't exist, but this year it grows so much, and it's kind of a way of how like how people are like today. People are so to give you some example, last couple years, like trends such as quiet luxury, those are the top trends, and it's like led by the luxury brands and brands such as a lot of the brands are getting so much traffic because it's like people are dressing a lot more conservative in 2025. And so this is a new wave of how people are rebellious about they are missing, feeling nostalgia about the year 2020 to 2005. So this is kind of the Chinese version, I guess the Americans in the 70s, like really a time everything was growing, the economy was growing so fast, and everyone is dressing like fabulous compared to today. So where there's a trend race with the center of those kind of skincare or beauty that's like in the center, people actually miss when they're able to carry a red purse or just very like just for to go out. This just shows like specific glance into a very complicated market, while overall it is, yes, it is more quite luxury or less obvious, but then there's a small group of the users that they are calling for being more visible. Another trend is for hair like I noticed of this that's something that actually a lot of influencers like most of them about say would focus a lot more compared to before. In this year is 80%, more than 80% of increase. So it's consumers are not just looking at do they contain this kind of ingredient, but more specifically, how much percentage of ingredient it is contained. And it's not just the percentage of the ingredient, it's overall lifestyle. Like, does the whole skincare make sense? So this what goes into, okay, there, like, it combined with there's like sports plan, like how is this is a key, it's like a long-termism, just means like does this skincare apply on a long term versus it's just something that's like impacting my skin for the next 3 days, which there's a lot of content that just shows like before and after like space comparison. But also another trend that's growing very fast is the influencer actually empty bottle like proof, and people are holding the empty bottle to show like they have actually used the whole bottle. So it's about, are you able to incorporate your brand into person's lifestyle, and how are you overall improving this? It's not just like my product works and it works in so many days. It's like how is this lifestyle is shaping the consumer. So it just shows like overall the market is more educated and it's more mature. So you have to like instead of just eye-catching effect, also being part of the overall ecosystem. Like, are you able to build a product within users' day-to-day life? So in conclusion, this means like the Chinese consumers, they are definitely getting a lot more culturally confident. It's also a more segmented market, and part of the users are more scientifically demanding. And for brands, what does it mean? It means like you are going to need some local time responsiveness. This means having a local team who actually understand how the consumer like and perception are have to be more cultural fluent instead of just like reposting what you have on Instagram on China. Like today's market, you do need to talk to your influencer, some first-hand market review, and to understand what are the what are the requests of the China market, and even to have a China first brand building strategy. That's a lot more crucial compared to before. And you would see like brands like Louis Vuitton, they would create like commercials that's like in the Beijing where a lot of the like very, very local where you can't even tell like this is created by Vuitton, but this is kind of the trend that a lot of brands are shifting is like you are consider you are brand and this is a China specific brand strategy and the brand content strategy for the market. So to also to get this to make this a bit harder, we can talk about offline. So a lot of the brand, especially the top rating brand, this year they are focusing their strategic expansion a lot more on the offline side. And here are most of them are brands. That's we also have like international luxury brand like which is acquired Chinese branch is acquired by a Chinese company, and they are representing evidence to create a lot more offline presence. So we can drill down into one of the brand, Guyu. It's this brand, and it's a brand that's it's very new, and it's reached 5 billion. It was only a brand from 10 years old brand, which was like grew together with a Taobao live streaming. And it only have 7% of its sale from offline, but like starting from like this among they have already started to working with a lot of offline builders such as the local skincare and cosmetics distributors such as a Colorlist and to expand to over retail outlet. And this year, actually just last month, they acquired, they invested into this kind of called Ginki. This is a chain provides face washing services. So people will go there, they spend 100 RMB, and then they can get their face cleaned. And the skincare brand says to invest in this kind of like offline chains, so build a very good presence to that can improve improve the brand. And that's something that's getting a lot more crucial this year. And I put a new market entry brand. So this is a brand that they actually work with a TP partner that we are very close with called Cross Border Agency. And they are able to reach to like 50 million RMB in the first 4 months. So this is a brand from Switzerland. They they hit the market and their yearly GMV had grew much. And one of the things that they tried was is they work with like tier live streaming influencers Li Jiaqi, but know that this is like 4 years ago. So today, like also getting harder. And also work with it to launch on SKP department stores so that their brand people could like test out using Le Bouquet. And I put like a typically a brand was in terms of marketing spending, a new brand entering Chinese market. They will spend around 20% on the in-platform ads within Tmall, and then for 40-50% would actually spend on Red because that's the platform where you want to create content and then drive traffic back to Tmall. And I put this example here. It's not just because it's a new market entry brand that's being successful, but there's a lot of complication with this brand as well. After 4 years after its launching, 3 years, the brand got into a dispute with argument where their Asian distributor they have to restructure, so that impacts how the brand is growing. But it also shows like back then, yes, you find the third-party agencies, they help you to launch, you can be very successful. But today, it's more and more is you are actually looking for a Chinese partner. You are thinking in terms of, should I create a joint venture? Like, should the distributor be the one representing your brand? And then they will take over in terms of how you market this brand. So it's just becoming a bit more, even more heavier investment and a bit more complicated in terms of like how much is required for a skincare brand to be successful in the Chinese market. So that's it. And I put a summary. Overall, it's getting more competitive. You have to have platform-specific strategy. Red, like for the ones that in this, it's still the major platforms that you want to focus on because it's good for new market and brands and the premium brands. And you want to work with local influencers and give them a brief that's not just about the brand, but also expand it into how does it compare to other brands. So you have to really work with a local influencer to come up with a strategy that works for your brands. And also for Chinese culture, it's changing all the time and it's getting more dynamic. It's not something that's as easy as copy and paste. It works, which was something a successful formula 5 years ago, but not today. You have to actually understand the culture and trust your local partners to help you to succeed. And for the brands that you have the chance of finding a distributor who are willing to invest in the offline store, then work with them. But for most of the brand, maybe before that, you will need to build enough social traction so that you are able to even find a distributor that's willing to together with you put in the investment in the Chinese market. So this is my email, and I think I ran over time than what I originally planned, and I'm going to leave the time to Feiran, and feel free to questions in the chat. Yeah.
Much, Jenny. It was a lot of good information, and compared to my part, I would say it's more fun and cooler. So now I believe it's time for more nerdier content of our webinar today. Let me share my screen here. Can you see it? Can you see my screen, Sherry?
Yeah, it looks good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Hey guys, it's me again. My name is Liu. I am the head of beauty and personal care for the Americas region at Tmall Global of Alibaba. For those of you who are not familiar with my company here, yet we are part of group's cornerstone e-commerce business. We're actually one of China's biggest cross-border e-commerce marketplace by brands to directly launch to our over 900 million monthly active users. For the past 6 years, I have been working closely with mostly beauty and personal care brands to help them shaping their China strategy and figure out their entry point. to China together. I would say recently we have received a lot of feedback from our global brand partners that they do not have the latest trends and category information regarding the constant changing market. But everyone is still pretty interested in this market. They want to know more. It's in fact one of the world's beauty market, especially lately with all the changes with everybody talking about how it has more and more difficult. So when catching up with Jenny, we figured this could be a huge pinpoint for many, and we want to address it by providing the latest information we have access to. So for today's presentation, I want to say it's only a fraction of the humongous amount of information we get on a daily basis. And for today, because we only have about 30 minutes, so the presentation is pretty general, but I think it would provide that would be pretty interesting to you at this time. So let's get started. First, we will have a quick overview of the skincare market in China. We all know how APAC region is actually one of the fastest growing region globally because of the rising middle class, the population, e-commerce is rising, and all the digital channels. Among APAC regions, China market is not just big; it's actually a global powerhouse. So based on the data from Statista, the beauty and personal care in China is forecasted to reach a revenue of $73.66 billion US in 2025, with a projected CAGR, the growth rate, of about 3.71% between 2025 and 2030. The data I got was actually from around or 24. So the forecast might be a little bit optimistic, but we do see the general trend here. And of course, we're always keeping an eye on the numbers, like the latest numbers. So Jenny was talking about how Double 11 is the biggest online shopping festival in China, an equivalent maybe to Black Friday and Cyber Week promotion in the Western markets. So I do have some numbers because before the seminar, we were actually chatting about it. I didn't have time to include it in my today. But I do have some numbers that I could share here. One sec. So as Jenny mentioned that none of the major this year has actually published the official numbers. Like I work for Tmall and I haven't seen official numbers, but I do had access to some public information from third-party agencies. So for this year, it's the longest Double 11 that we have seen, and it's a total of 36 days. So it's a month of big promotion. And the 2025 Double 11 Shopping Festival, starting from October 7th to November 11th, it actually, from the party channel, they said it has a final GMV or sales of 1.695 trillion RMB, which is about 239.93 billion US dollars. And according to the agency, it marks actually a year-on-year growth of 14%. But because it's a longer period, so you need to take that into consideration when thinking about if year growth or not. So for beauty and personal care, it accounted for about 8.2% of the total GMV this year. And that would be category sales volume of approximately 19.67 billion US dollars. And the skincare segment actually dominant the beauty and personal care category. The total sales during Double 11 would reach about 40 billion US dollars, with a daily GMV showing year-on-year growth rate of 11.65%. There are also numbers about fragrance, color cosmetics, hair care, and home cleaning. But I won't share those numbers here because there's a lot of different. It's worth noting that among all the included in this data, including JD, PDD, which is the parent company of Tmall and Taobao channel actually took the lead with a dominant of 61.3 share of the total GMV in beauty. So we're still a premier marketplace for beauty. I can share this information if you reach out after the webinar, but I got those number back. Let's come back the presentation here. All right. Okay. I work with cosmetic and hair. And Jenny, she extensive in fashion, I believe, home and more. But when brainstorming about today's topic, we believe skincare would actually be a pretty good starting point, not only because of the revenue shown here, but also because um, of its rapidly evolving dynamics and consumer behavior. So for today's presentation, we're going to be focusing on skincare. On this slide, here are a few of today's skincare trends shaping the China market from my perspective. The first I would say is definitely the rise of Skintellectuals and ingredient focus. This is actually a game changer. Chinese consumers are incredibly educated now. They are doing their own research. They know what ingredients they want, like niacinamide, like retinol. We can no longer just sell brand name alone. We have to market proven formulation and visible ingredients and outcomes. This would actually lead directly to second point, extreme efficacy and tech skincare. So consumers nowadays in China, they are demanding products that deliver extreme results. This is driving a massive focus on tech skincare. Think about devices, advanced delivery system, and clinical grade claims. So Jenny was talking about how instead of just ingredients, people nowadays in China, they care about the percentage of the ingredient content in this product. Nowadays, they even care about how those percentage of ingredients are actually delivered into their either skin or other part of the body. So you know how they're very, very technology driven. So nowadays, products need to feel very clinical and then perform flawlessly. Then move on to the next one would be how the market nowadays operates. For the third one, we have digital dominance and live streaming. If you're not strong on e-commerce platforms like Tmall, JD, or platforms like Douyin and Rednote, and if you're not live into your sales strategy, then you're definitely missing it. The purchase journey in China now is more immediate, more social, and more digitally driven, I would say. The fourth one is actually the strong growth of Say Beauty brands, like Jenny shared with us. The local Chinese brands are becoming, I would say, formidable competitors. They're very agile. They understand how local consumers are thinking, and they can innovate much faster compared to international brands to actually respect them and find ways to stand out against this powerful local competition. And the final general trend when it comes to the skincare market in China is that we're seeing structural change, which is channel and regulatory evolution. So the government is constantly updating all the regulations around ingredients, claims, and testing. Also, the distribution channels nowadays are rapidly shifting from traditional stores to hyper specialized online platforms to social commerce platforms, and now maybe with a comeback from traditional stores, offline retail as well. So staying compliant and strategically navigating these changes is very crucial to sustain the success in China. As you could see, all these five trends, they're very broad, very general. It could easily become a full presentation on its own. But for the purpose of discussion today, I think we're going to narrow our focus that specifically echoing and reflecting the first 2 points, the highly educated consumer and their demand for extreme efficacy. So this slide comes actually with a lot of information, and it's data from CFDA. CFDA is now known as the NMPA, National Medical Products Administration, but to make it easier when referring to the administration, we're still calling them CFDA here. So in China, for general cosmetics, if you want to sell offline in China, products undergo a filing or notification process with CFDA, with the administration. And for the filing of general cosmetics, you must provide the complete product formula with the exact weight percentage of every ingredient. And this is how CFDA has data from all cosmetic products registered with them. So for this one, it's actually from January to September this year. And here are the top 30 ingredients by number of filed products. Ingredient are the numbers of how many products containing this ingredient was filed during this time. And then following that is their growth rate during the past 3 years. These are a lot of information, but don't worry, we won't be going through this one by one. I personally do not come from a product background or a chemistry background. I'm very confident I cannot pronounce most of the names here, but there are some of them that you may want to learn more. Orange colored ones, those are the ingredients I believe are widely used both China and by Western brands as well. This information is actually helpful, so you know that for consumers both in China all over the world, they are in these ingredients as the superstar ingredients. For example, the first one, hyaluronic, or the famous name used in marketing would be hyaluronic. Chinese social media platform Red or Red Note that Jenny has been talking about, they hashtag for this ingredient actually had an astonishing 1.78 billion views. It's absolutely the most popular and I would say the foundational ingredient in the Chinese skincare market. It's used across nearly all the categories, right? From affordable sheet masks to premium serums, making it a non-negotiable component for hydration products. And then the second one, we have a niacinamide. It's the ingredient brands use to address multiple consumer needs, such as whitening, brightening, anti-aging, and acne management within just one product, making it a strategic must for market penetration and growth. It's worth noting as a hero ingredient to block pigment transfer and supports brightening effect. It falls right in Chinese consumers' demand, looking for a lighter and a brighter crystal skin. You may recognize many of other names like squalene, like jojoba oil, like shea butter. So those are more from Western formulations. But let's move past those. I want to highlight the ingredients that are uniquely popular in the high growth East Asian markets that may deserve more of your attention. So the first one here, Cica. We have to talk about Cica. It's an ingredient that perfectly embodies the trend of adapting Asian traditional medicine for modern skin-focused formulations, making it hugely popular in China and East Asia, especially from Korea. Its key benefits would be soothing and healing, repairing, and barrier support. It's very good for dry and sensitive skin and also for post-medical aesthetics care and also acne management. I believe many K-beauty brands nowadays are using this ingredient, making it more and more popular here in the US and EU regions as well. If you go on TikTok, you'll find an ocean of information talking about Cica. And the next one, I'm going to try to pronounce it, is called Perluleca oleracea extract, or known as Purslane extract. Its traditional name is called Ma Chi Xian. And in traditional Chinese medicine, purslane has a long history of use for clearing heat and eliminating toxins, which is associated with inflamed or irritated skin. This heritage creates actually higher consumer and confidence in the ingredient's safety and efficacy. It's clinically recognized for its anti-inflammatory and soothing properties, which would help calm redness, irritation, and discomfort. It's also a very popular ingredient among K-beauty, which is gaining more recognition among Western consumer market. Some international brands like Paula's Choice, they're already using it. All right, let's take a look at where the real consumers and industry interest is, what companies are actually filing. The bar chart actually gives us a snapshot of the efficacies that the top ingredients are commonly used for. What jumps out at these power players would be the one at the bottom, which is hydration and moisturization position. They are absolutely dominating, sitting at almost 1/4. Right behind, we see a crucial tier, soothing, and also antioxidant, virtually tied, both sitting. When you pair those with anti-aging here at about 12.6%, you started to see the shift towards basic plus advanced care, which is exactly the market demand that we're seeing right now. In terms of sheer volume and investment, the industry nowadays is heavily weighted towards these four efficacies: moisturizing, antioxidant, and soothing, and also anti-aging. So the message here is actually pretty clear that basic is still the king. The industry in China would focus on the fundamentals, then layer the K advanced benefits. So with so many chemistry terms and names and efficacies, what would be the ones to watch for China market? I have two as example. The first one is PDRN. I remember this was one of the trends published at one of the Cosmo Pro in the US this year, the one me and Jenna attended earlier. And it's now becoming more and more popular thanks to K-beauty. This ingredient is actually pretty fascinating because it's not your traditional plant extract. It's actually derived DNA compound, often sourced from salmon sperm, and its rise is directly tied to the demand for the big four efficacies that we just covered. This ingredient started as a major injectable treatment in clinics, which is the ultimate of high efficacy. And when brands like Emory Pacific and Lancome, they are actually using this ingredient, you know how popular it is right now. On the right side, you can see that PDRN red note, it actually has over views on red note. And also there are many PDRN products on Taobao and Tmall platforms on our platform. So we can confirm that the consumer curiosity is very massive, that it's moving quickly from an expensive clinical treatment to an attainable, high impact topical ingredient. If PDRN is about advanced healing, let's talk about this sustainable, high impact anti-aging called recombinant collagen. What we're looking at here is a lab grown collagen that would perfectly mimic the natural human version. This actually addresses a couple of key consumer demands simultaneously. It's very efficient for deep hydration, skin repair, boosting firmness, and very importantly, soothe inflammation. So it both the anti-aging, firming, and soothing efficacies that Chinese consumers are looking for. It's essentially the next generation of collagen products. We can see how seriously the industry is taking this. Brands like Skintellectuals are actually launching product around this technology. And also the consumer search data, again, confirms the massive interest. Let's say from here, 胶原蛋白, which is the Chinese term for recombinant collagen, it has over 320 million views for the Chinese hashtag on Rednote. Consumers actually, they're very actively searching for this cutting edge technology because they believe this would provide a guaranteed science-backed result that they're looking for. I would say now most products on our platform nowadays for recombinant collagen are more for medical or for treatment purposes, but we're definitely seeing more cream, more serum, more topical products for sure. So we have talked about specific ingredients, but now let's talk more about where these products are actually tunneled to. One of China's most dynamic e-commerce platform, Tmall Global. We are among one of the cross-border e-commerce platforms in China. And I would say a global brand want to enter China, want to start selling in China, we're typically their first choice. And we are, I would say, the market gateway. I would say my company's role is more like a combination of Amazon plus Shopify in China. Maybe you may understand the Amazon metaphor here since we're one of the largest marketplace. As for the Shopify metaphor, that's because D2C channels in China would actually take the format of a flagship store on selective marketplaces or even social commerce platforms instead of brands own .com.cn. Brands would rely on our marketplace infrastructure to run their e-commerce operations in China. And that's why I am blessed with a front row at the beauty business to witness promotions, launches, day-to-day operations, and many big milestones. Meanwhile, personally, I try to stay on top of the latest trends of the market and keep my eyes on any industry news, info, reports that I could get access to. And I would love to share them and help my brand partners with a quick competitive and a market analysis. One thing I always tell my brand partners, I just cannot overemphasize enough for all beauty brand partners is the commerce model, not because I work for a platform that's helping brands sell into China through this model, but I firmly believe this actually helps solve many problems that brands usually face when looking at a giant market like China. So the traditional way of selling to China is usually through general trading, which is the traditional model. So for general trading, you will need a business entity to sell to China. You have to register for a trademark in China. You have to have your own China local bank account in China. And you have to have a warehouse in China. And more importantly, like we previously talked about, you have to do product registration or filing in China with CFDA. And then here it comes the cross-border e-commerce model here that you as an international business can sell directly to Chinese consumers using your current overseas business entity. You can use your country of origin's registered trademark. You can actually use your local bank account and choose the currency Chinese consumers are paying Chinese yuan. And you can use a bonded warehouse in China or overseas warehouse, which actually, as part of Alibaba's service, we have a Cainiao network, which is Alibaba's arm with it. And more importantly, for beauty brands, you don't have to do product registration with CFDA. No animal testing, no products registration, especially right now with the ongoing drama around tariff. Cross-border e-commerce is not subject to the tariff that we're talking about here. So it's definitely very flexible and easy entry business model for sure. But if you want to sell offline, you still have to go through the registration process. And I would say general trading would be something that you start thinking about if China is really the market for you in maybe after 2 or 3 years after you have launched it through cross-border e-commerce. On our platform, we see four major forces that are actually the demand from Chinese consumer for not only skincare, not only beauty, but actually across all categories in general. The first pillar we're looking at is actually a healthier lifestyle. This is actually a huge shift. Consumers are not just focused on outer appearance, they're paying more attention to a healthier lifestyle. I want to say this is one of the dominating consumer trend in China right now, especially after the pandemic. So Chinese consumers, they are paying more attention to living healthily and wellness from an all-around perspective, no matter it's taking more health supplements, using microbiome skincare products, and even pay more attention to their cellular health. So wellness is what's going on right now. And then very similar to the first one, we have organic and sustainable. Chinese consumers are definitely paying more attention to this as well. For example, clean beauty has been trendy during the past several years. People are purchasing and consuming more plant food and beverage, and they are paying more attention. They're valuing sustainability in the brand or in the products offering as well. This would actually be quite surprising. Just a few years ago, organic, sustainable wouldn't be a big selling point for the Chinese market, unlike here in the US or in Europe. But now it actually weighs a lot when a consumer is making a purchase decision, which is also a reflection of the fact that they generally are looking for wellness in their another general trend after the pandemic nowadays is a noticeable amount of consumption or purchase is value driven. There is a word in China called self-delight economy. It's very widely discussed in China, but professionals and also consumers themselves, the motivation behind a lot of purchases is simply consumers want to be delighted by the products or the services that they just purchased. Along with this trend, Chinese consumers are making more purchases in outdoor activities such as camping, snowboarding, bicycling, and more. Also, hair is a fast-growing category as well. For beauty, it actually speaks to the role of beauty as a form of self-care and stress relief. This directly relates to the importance of the soothing efficacy that we were talking about. Last but not least, a lot of purchases nowadays we observed on our platform are actually technology and innovation driven. And it's not only for consumer electronics, tech, and innovation could be also integrated into fashion and beauty as well. The demand for high-tech beauty actually validates the consumer's fascination with ingredients like PDRN we're talking about. They're actively seeking out the most innovative and clinically proven solutions. So in short, these four mega trends are creating a consumer who is health conscious, ethically minded, and also obsessed with cutting edge technology. Now, you may wonder how the beauty or category is for a platform like Tmall Global. So let's take a quick dive into the Tmall Global Cosmetics category structure and a core segment. On the left, we have the core segment tree map, which visualizes the overall category size based on our four key functions: sunscreen, moisturizing, anti-aging, and repair. Notice that, moisturizing, anti-aging, and repair, those segments actually dominate the largest area. And that tells are the foundational product categories with biggest revenue pools currently exist. And then let's take a look on the right part. It is the category structure. This is where we would identify our market winners and future opportunities. So the Y axis actually market share, and the X axis is growth rate. The bigger the bubble, and the larger the market size. You can immediately spot the cosmetics market leaders, those with high share and good growth, facial makeup and sunscreen. For skincare, look at the moisturizer. I believe it should be here, and also serum, those bubbles. So they have substantial market share, and any small gain in growth here will translate into revenue. Finally, let's look at the bubbles in the lower right part. Categories like fragrance and even hand and foot care, they're smaller today, but they definitely show high growth rates. These are our emerging trends and future opportunities that we need to invest in now to capture tomorrow's market share. My last slide today actually allows us to zoom in on the specific product trends driving consumer spending on our platform in skincare. And we should, I would say, strategically position ourselves as a newcomer to this market. When it comes to trending efficacies, it's a big three. It's anti-aging, it's brightening, and also repair. The anti-aging, I would say, is definitely the cornerstone of the premium market. The consumer here in China is chasing proven results delivered through serums with super ingredients. The winning products like the SkinCeuticals, the Ferulic serum, and also the Obagi Z serum, they establish this benchmark, which is high potency antioxidant formulations, and those are essential to command a premium pricing and secure market loyalty. As for brightening, we have previously talked about it, how Chinese consumers would actually chase a crystal skin, very similar to Korean consumers. And because of this, it's a very popular segment or platform. Products like Murad Rapid Dark Spot Correcting Serum, and also this the ordinary ascorbic acid powder, they perfectly demonstrate the market's expectation. So brands, they must options for both the high science targeted treatment and also the ingredient focused customization. And then we have the repair segment, which is also becoming increasingly vital because consumers are they're using stronger actives in the anti-aging space nowadays. So for this, focuses more on protection, maintaining skin resilience. Products like the cellular hydration and the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream are winning products in this segment. So for all three major efficacies, I would say the trending products or product families or SKUs would usually be serum, moisturizer or cream, masks, and also care products that comes in set. The most trending words and on our platform would include super ingredient, how to actually use the advanced ingredients, and how to match these ingredients with others. And also microbiome skincare has been rising a lot. Super ingredient here actually include vitamin C, the retinol family, including bagucho, I would say, thiamidor, which is a patented ingredient from olive extract, and also actone for hydration, soothing, and barrier repair. I have spent a lot of time talking about ingredients today. So we won't dive deeper into each of the ingredient here. But I think the here and the information, the brands, the product would actually give you a pretty good of the platform's trends in skincare. I always wish I would have more time talking about products, ingredients, consumer feedback, e-commerce models, right, to as many brand partners as possible. Even if China is not on your market expansion map, it doesn't hurt to think about it. Start learn about it as possible. Just so you know, you're not alone when thinking about this huge market. It's a difficult market. Both me has shared. You're not alone. So we're always here. The platform is here. My team is here, and we want to help you find the information you need and to find you the resources or the partners that you need when start thinking about China. So feel free to email or DM me on LinkedIn with questions or any information you need. I'm very excited to be here today. I hope we can so much. Jenny?
Thank you so much, Feiran. I learned so much about the ingredients.
It's very nerdy, and I hope it's just not
I
too
know
much.
you are the person to about this because like it's you are a geek skincare ingredient. That's
I'm
awesome.
just obsessed with products.
Okay, but thank you, and we will share the presentation of today like via email and our contact, and thanks for everyone for here.
So guys,
Thank you. Bye.
bye guys.